on TuneIn, Modern Ghana, or www.pazitoradio.co.uk. Pazito Radio, we keep you alive.
Hi viewers, good afternoon everyone. We are right now on Pazito Radio, and this afternoon I'm so delighted to have special guests on the line today, and they will introduce themselves and they will tell us who they are. So I will start from the top. I don't know how I have appears on the top. Can they say ladies first? So I think we will start from Dr. Araba, then we go on.
Right. Thank you. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Mr. Agnes. So my name is Araba Osei-Kwesi. I'm a public health nutrition researcher, and I'm from Sahara Nutrition. And as you always know, our motive or our aim is to educate, create awareness amongst, Black ethnic minority populations in the UK and beyond.
Thank you, Dr. Araba. I think next will be Ifolua. Is it Ifolua, if I'm right? I tried to avoid it, but I think we don't know who was next year.
My name is Ifolua Oluwashino, yes. And I'm a nutritionist, and I'm with Sahara Nutrition. And the aim is just to enlighten people about issues when it comes to nutrition, our health, and what we eat. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then our one and only gentleman on. Can you hear me?
Hello, everybody. My name is I'm a health and wellness enthusiast, and I'm joining to get more information and just to expand my mind on mental health and nutrition.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, and because I know you are all busy, but today we're going to talk about mental health and nutrition. When you sit back, you say, what is it about nutrition and mental health? What are we going to talk about today?
I think
when we talk about mental health and nutrition at all.
Yeah. I think I'll start with that before Ife comes in. So when we say,
Dr. Sorry to interrupt. Are we expecting one more person in?
No, we are not.
Because there's one who wants to come in and I think it's the same. Okay, it's okay. It's a picture. I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah, no, we are not expecting anyone else. Yeah.
I think it says Oluwasena's name, but if she wants to show something, if I don't accept it, we can't view it.
No, she's not showing anything.
Sorry?
Did you want to share anything?
No.
That's fine.
Okay, so we lost her. We lost her. It
was coming double, so I realized there was something.
Okay.
I've accepted her back on.
Okay. All right. So can I continue what I was saying?
Yeah.
Yes. So I wanted to start by providing a bit of context into why we are talking about mental health today. When we say health, WHO defines health as a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just the absence of diseases. So it's a combination of your mental health, your social well-being, and your physical health. And as I always explain on this show, we as nutritionists, public health nutritionists for that matter, are interested in promoting health and preventing diseases. That is the role of a public health nutritionist, promotion of health and prevention of diseases. So we cannot talk about health without talking about mental health. We are always talking about the physical health, but it goes hand in hand. Your social well-being, your mental health being, and your physical health goes. There's no health without mental health. And that is why today we've decided to focus on mental health and nutrition, because most of the time we talk about the physical health. Okay, so today's show is dedicated to the links between mental health and nutrition. I need my nutritionist back on board. What's happening? And I can briefly, do you want me to briefly explain what I just said?
I don't know whether she can.
Ife, can you hear us?
Oh, yes, I can.
Okay. This is Agnes. I was saying, do you want me to translate what I said in Fanti? Should I?
Yes, please.
Just yes. So briefly, just summarize it briefly. Into in there, your body, your mental health wasem. Nana me pere me explain it as into your mental health wasem in there, because usually your body can't other health. Mr. WHO define health there. Only there, mental health, physical health, and what together, form of health. Into health all the time, and just focus on diabetes, obesity, and all those things without talking about mental health, because there's no health without mental health. It goes hand in hand, and that is why today, and as public health nutrition, I may explain it. Then you're rolling in there. Yebe educating, yebe church, and yema manko be na one fan yar. Was in your pumzing. Into 9 day decided that you mental health for Watson, because norma nipa healthy. Yes.
I think Dr. Araba is done, so she wants her nutritionist to add to do the backup.
She went off. She didn't know what we're saying. If I can, the links between nutrition and mental health. I just provided a context.
Yes, apologies. So like Dr. Araba has said, there are various links, and we'll first of all go into our unhealthy diets and how unhealthy diets has caused a lot of non-communicable diseases today. And we can talk of things like obesity. I'm sure each and every one of us knows someone who has obesity or is overweight. We know someone also that has some form of that has high blood pressure or hypertension, and we also know someone who has had probably cancer, right? We can also talk about dementia. We can talk about all of these non-communicable diseases and how what we've eaten in the long run, little by little, have caused us to get to this point. Either eating too much calories or too much of what we don't need, too much of things, too much of carbs, of proteins, or whatever. All of these have led to one non-communicable diseases or the other. And the funny thing is that these diseases also actually link to how we think, how we feel. Are we anxious? Do we become anxious? Especially obesity today that we've seen can change people's mood and is also related to depression. We're also seeing, when it comes to obesity, that it also affects memory, ability to remember some things episodically. Like sometimes you can remember, sometimes you can't remember. And all of these, affect, in the long run, also affect how we think about, okay, what's going to happen in the future to our children, what's going to happen to our family that we've built. We begin to become stressed, anxiety. Are we going to leave today? Are we going to leave tomorrow? Is it going to become better? Do the doctors know what they're doing? Things like that. Or my situation looks like it's hopeless. We can see how this little progression of, oh, what we've eaten today can affect how we feel physically and disease states, and then what we think, how we're able to process things in our brains, in our minds. And then we can also look at the fact that in nutrition today, we found out that high saturated fats and high sugar diets, which is common with the Western diets, we've seen how it has increased anxiety-like behavior. In fact, it also has caused memory impairments. I don't know if Dr. Abba wants to interpret right now.
Yes,
explain.
Yes. There's a lot of information. Let me break it down here. It's Yerika nutrition, the link with mental health. And I hear there. If you trade the first link from unhealthy diets, it's by na yezina your own unhealthy na debia ye ka ho asem no ye nyim there see ye unhealthy continuously like that ono no ma here yarba bebre today, oma yenya diabetes, yenya obesity, yenya dementia ni na no our link with here it's by na yezina on healthy no. So when that happens, not say you are in that state, say especially say kesedodo, another with diabetes, another in your stroke, or affect the way I aging. Either there, be stressed, it will want man, aging dream bebre, and benya anxiety, and benya depression because a yarno, where I will want my aging who there. Me situation or better na there me doctor say wash me point more ya me when you to me treat and I region who de na say me one no be member into yarba yenzi yeah oma yenya yarba for them physical health na them physical health no oma ya dream yama bebre on your nankotin. There's so many determinants of mental health, but ye core on in the year focus on research so actually there specific diets it's buying be or high in saturated fats last year but have saturated fats once and high sugar it's buying sugar won't be brain it's buying be brain na yezi wo chrome hana watunton was shops no or affect him mental health or affect it sometimes what ability there's a bit high in yama. And with diseases that means by now research actually but my why in kai assembly is what past in poa that is bino easy the baby or affect your memory, okay, or to cause the anxiety. Miss Bessie Hanayatiado. I think we can continue.
Right. Okay. And now let's even look at quick social changes that affect us mentally. Quick social changes, a perfect example is COVID-19. I mean, we know people can't go out as much as they would. And we also know how people can't associate with friends as much. So they are in the house most of the time. I mean, see people binge watching on Netflix or binge watching on one movie or the other. And we see those that actually live alone or people that are just two in the house. I mean, they begin to think about a lot of things. They are not able to share with people, even those also that now are many in the house. We see people eating more now that they're in the house with a large family. We see people things that they wouldn't have eaten, breakfast that they might have just skipped because they could quickly go out or they had something they were chasing. Now they're actually forced sometimes to eat, especially if you have kids, you're forced to eat it. And then you see you're forced to eat snacks also. You're less busy, you're not as active as before, so you need to fill in your time with eating or with eating and spending time with family. So you see people eating snacks, more snacks, they're having their lunch, snacks, and then dinner. And then we see and we know today that our diets, many of the things we eat are high in fat, high in sugars, high in also high in carbohydrates, a high amount of carbohydrates, more than we actually need, or more than the physical activity more than physical activity. And then we see that our diet, that explicitly shows us that our diet is being affected. The way we eat is being affected. We also see people who people who lack appetite as a result of loss. That's also that's a social change as a result of loss. You've lost somebody, someone has died, or probably distance between you and someone. So we see, especially in females, they are not able to eat for quite a while. I don't know if you know anyone who has experienced it, where you can't eat, there's no appetite because of that loss you're feeling, and that can lead to malnutrition in the long run. That can lead to weight loss that wasn't planned, that wasn't necessary, things like that. So we've seen increased food intake, we've seen a lack of appetite, but also we need to look at what people turn to eat, what they turn to in terms of loss, or in terms of death. We see people turning to comfort foods.
Okay. It's a lot of information. If let me talk about before we come to that one. So the hurricane links between nutrition and mental health. And I fetch for the social change. Today, Morocco do say, "Yeah, on the COVID-19 by ama was stay at home." And when it's man nanka first, yes, who ya kwasor, yes, meetings no ni na asesa. Na Ghana for ye be no kada nipa ye de yen hyehyia ye ho biom. Na research actually when that happens, two things no happen. Ye tifie ye nko baby nti ye dizi bebre. Ye tifie no ehu ye fill dam gap no with eziban. First nanka wo hanke bia be dizi twice or 3 times a day. Itifie ni intibation na dizi 4 times a day. You dizi 4 times ne snacks ne mbao. It dizi snacks and apa area be enyumber ehu. That's one way. But my link is social change in nutrition. The other way is there, and again, research actually there. Say a experience today, a year another. So ubi wu. Honestly, a social change. Say ubi wu ana bibi dama or affect you such that obotuma it be lose appetite. Into munzizi ye nzizi or to cause malnutrition. But who will be honoma, ni bibi wu ana ya baby to na unto nzizi ye ni to na wa fun. You know, you can just lose weight in planning. Nyada sheda de die to and subona lose and lose weight. That's one end. It been musu honoma or happen the man na fe ziza no zizi, you know, just eating unhealthy foods. Sister Agnes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was just saying that what you're saying is, I'm really confirming it, that when I lost my mom, after a while, because I was living in the same house with her, when you go to the living room, you remember everything about her. And for you to get occupied, you just want to open the fridge, do something constantly to really occupy you, which is really dangerous. Because I personally experienced that. You just have to go in. If it's something you will not even eat, everybody's gone and you are alone in the house. And then you remember being there with that person. You just go in. So it's really something that I can say that 100% that I back it is true. So it's either, so if it was the other way around, the person might not eat at all. But the ones that eat is my pack of just going every little thing. And then by the time you realize you were just there, gone on and obese.
Yes, I can imagine. For me, when I experienced loss, something that happened to me was I couldn't eat. Like, I felt like vomiting. I felt like puking at any sight of food. I couldn't eat. I couldn't even look at food for too long. I could prepare the food, but after a while, I felt so weak that I couldn't even look at the food. Right. But in continuation about how social health, social well-being can affect our mental health is also people turning to high-fat foods, especially when there's a social when it comes to a social instance. You turn to high-fat foods because we've realized in nutrition that to cope with stress, fatty foods actually act as antidepressants. They also act as they reduce anxiety, right? But the only backlog to this is the fact that in the long run, these high fat foods lead to obesity. In the long run, they lead to there's this metabolic syndrome which somehow can still lead to hypertension and then also diabetes. It's a metabolic syndrome that we don't need to get into right now. So Dr. Araba, if you want to
okay, so yeah,
talk about that.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes. You know, where now you can the experience a loss and now be social change be happen to the COVID or Kodia or man confuses bebre. But research is so actually there. Oh yeah, there is anchoritis in important health in point on hand. But what happened dama ma nkrofo tazi ezibanya or high fat like ezibanya fat also. Now, as it's you are drawn towards it by a fat in the door, so you're there. Fatty foods, no, or serve it today antidepressants, you know, or recent actually or what depression. So you feel it there, I stress than your depression that is damn fatty foods now. My in your feeling bit today, it be feel better, kakra, or reduce what anxiety necessary. Intina ya bo na nkrofo why drawn to them is by no but ye na so ye nyim there fatty foods wo no hunso so adu bebre iti yeah it's the maze by na e feel better while I who de what at all but the means by na so no ba ma here dam yarba bebre no obesity na diabetes in a more kaka ho no if you can continue.
Right. And lastly, another thing I would just like to point out is when it comes to specific illnesses or diseases in here, this is a specialty of a dietitian, basically, where we see epilepsy being treated with ketogenic diets, right? Seizures, when seizures comes, it reduces. A ketogenic diet helps on reduces, right? Such seizures also basically takes care of everything that happens when it comes to epilepsy. And just to quickly define a ketogenic diet is a diet that is very low in carbohydrates, but then now higher in fats and protein in order to provide the energy that is needed, right? And we've also seen nutrition come in where there's a disease called phenylketonuria, right? Where it's a disease where there's a protein called phenylalanine that the body cannot properly metabolize. So the basic treatment for that also is reduction of protein intake, right? And that is a dietetics specialty. We also think about when we think about schizophrenia, right? Where people who have these need to have a lot of antioxidants, which you get from your fruits and vegetables, from your foods. You also have them having a lot of polyunsaturated fatty acids, such as your omega-3 fatty acids, your omega-6 fatty acids, things like that from high oily fishes. And these are like direct disease links, right, with nutrition helping to treat it.
Yeah, let me briefly talk about what you just said. So still I share nutrition. Say I specific diets, no, my research actually in a link with mental health. Now, epilepsy, stagnant epilepsy, epilepsy, trying to get a epilepsy, dami yarba no. Epilepsy no. As it were, dietitians was a boy was it treat epilepsy in a ketogenic diet. Keto no obi anyim keto but huna obi apeda o lose weight and no use keto. They be a can show you there. Keto diet no or wonejuma oye a coronary epilepsy. Into what Dr. Bema ehu dietitian. Now dietitians what to keto diet do. Into for anybody who doesn't know what a keto diet is, right? Diet na baduna. Yeah, we a low carb but high fat and high protein diets. A lot of the times, no, people try to use that to lose weight, and I'm just mentioning that we always advise them not to do that. You need to see a dietitian, you know, may use the keto diet. But research actually the keto diet, you know, in, you know, conditions with the epilepsy. Now, other conditions, so schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, minimum infant, but one sort of a mental disorder, or honum. Also, they, yeah, what man call for diets are. A lot of fruits and vegetables will contain antioxidants. Antioxidants, no, you say I can have some more harder. I'm sorry, some of the words I don't know it's in my language, you know. And it's buying so high in polyunsaturated fats, you know, into fatty fish, na na or honoma, what was manage them conditions. Into your mental health asema. Ne link with nutrition is baby. So what it connects so what diagnosed with it was specific condition to the schizophrenia yeah Kenya more dietitian. Now dietitian no what show more daisy because research actually the specific view of easier or bois or reduce anxiety or reduce depression. But it has to be done by, you know, the professionals or GP but more dietitian
I think we are really learning in the sense that when you talk about mental health, I work in mental hospital. When we don't really associate it with any food. We all think it's a dream, so we all think it's something to do with the brain, and it doesn't have anything to do with any lifestyle at all. Talk about even the eating lifestyle. We all think about mental. If somebody has done something, you have a broken heart, you have injury, you know, that kind of thing. But we don't really associate it
We don't
with
link it to
mental
yeah.
at all.
Yes, and
Yes.
We don't.
Yeah, and funny. Oh, okay, right. And funny how the thing is, our foods, what we eat, actually make up our brain. Like it makes up the function of our brain, helps our brain to develop, and also affects our minds. It affects something we call neurotransmitters, right? How we think, how we feel, because you are a complete. You are who you are. Your body, your physicality is as a result of what you've eaten over the years. And yes, there's genes involved. Oh, you need to grow your genes, but what you've eaten it's like a supporter, right? It is what makes those genes express the way it should, to be expressed the way it should. And that's the funny thing.
That thing about genes, I want to make a quote that one of my mentors likes to use very well. So the fact that your genes loads the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Exactly.
Your gene loads the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. I've heard it first from Dr. Alice Ojuan. I mean, it's a saying that is out there, but it perfectly expresses what we are saying. Yes, you know, so many people would say things like, oh, maybe people are mentally ill because it's in their family, or, you know, yes, there are so many determinants of mental health and other conditions, physical health, okay? But the fact that it's in, you know, your father was mentally ill doesn't mean you also have to be, you know, have a mental problem or something like that. Or, you know, it is your lifestyle amongst others. And I wanted us to talk about some of the determinants. So there are so many determinants of this mental health that we are talking about. And lifestyle is just one of them, but that is our focus, you know, for our talk today. But yes, definitely your genes play a role, your lifestyle, if I would want to add some to it. So there's so many other things that comes together or predisposes you to some of these conditions. But our role as nutritionists is to look at, you know, the role of nutrition, diet, and, you know, these social factors we are talking about. Okay.
I think we've lost our gentleman now.
Yes. If you want to say some more stuff.
Just to add to what you were talking about, determinants of mental health, how we also see, we've sort of covered it all. We've talked about the genetics, we've talked about your physical ill health, like how you feel, or disease, the presence of it, disease condition. We've also talked about unhealthy lifestyles. We've also talked about rapid social change. We've talked about how our stressful life or stressful work conditions can actually affect the way we think, affects us being able to remember things, affects us being able to cope with things or with our life. Right, and social exclusion, for instance, where there's peer exclusion in schools, things like that. And I think I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, Sister Agnes.
I was welcoming our gentleman back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if I added a few, what was it that you added to the determinants that I've not spoken about? I think because we talk, yeka genes one seminal. I don't know if I translated that. Yeah, I did translate that. Na yeka de nyama bebre.
What you were trying to say was, like people say about the trigger of the gun, and that like if your family member has got it, it's not like
It doesn't mean
get it, but the lifestyle.
you should get exactly. Now lifestyle, no, or one of it. There's so many other things today. A social change. My yeka want say even Morocco do say CI or a social change. COVID-19 na yeti na yentum yen shia yen ho. Nti na ya before yaka de nipa yeda onye it's for a reason, yen shia yen ho or have an effect on nkrofo bebre. But I mean at the moment, or ye bibi nti na ye dam ehu. But we need to know that all these things otumi of course these conditions social exclusion, even adolescents, teenagers sideline na one peda dam nyamani na ekabuma otumu cause some of these things
Please, if you come on, share the video, educate people. That's why at times I just share it, because some people are not on Facebook, but they are on WhatsApp. So I try to WhatsApp them as well so that they can also watch from that end, because it's not everybody. So at times I just have to do that and share. If you are there, please share. Somebody listening to this, it will save lives. Your loved one, you don't want to see anybody have mental issue. You don't even want to go near at all. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing at all to see people who have mental issues. It's so sad. So what these experts are trying to do is helping us to avoid it. Even if we are already in, it will help us to cope with it. How this? I just want to ask a quick question. How will this also affect? We're talking about being home, not going out, but being home with your husband, with your partner 24/7. Something you've never done before, because if both of you are at home, you are home 24/7 under the same canopy with the children. How will that affect our well-being as well?
Yes, so specifically, like we said, first of all, you begin to eat more than you're eating. And something I haven't mentioned before is if just one person in that family has a mental issue, it goes a long way to affect the rest of the family, because you are worried as a family about the person. So it's like a circle. All of you now begin to run around in that circle, right? And helping each other with what you are eating, with your nutrition, helping each other to stick to a healthy diet, stick to a balanced diet, even while you're at home and eating more than you used to eat, more than you would have eaten when you are when you were going out or more physically active, or helping each other to eat balanced and eating well, right, would go a long way in preventing some diseases that shouldn't even come to your door as a result of your knowledge or doing these things.
Yeah.
Right. And also, I'd just like to chip this in. I mean, being a little bit more physical active by deliberate exercise can also go a long way to helping you, because you are eating more, being in the house together, doing some form of physical exercise or walking, going on some walks can actually help. And the funny thing is, when you're together with more people, it's fun to do physical activity, especially when you have children.
Yeah.
Right? So this is how being together, or this lockdown has affected. This is how it has affected people's diet, and how we can also help ourselves when it comes to what we eat.
Yeah. In addition, just before I translate that to my language, also, Sister Agnes was asking that, with people now having to spend all the time together with partners at home, how is that also just affecting their well-being? That is also a social change. There are people who are not used to staying at home 24/7, and that alone is, irrespective of the diet aspect, is also causing a lot of stress to these people. Just staying at home 24. Some people are just used to just coming to home, coming to the house to sleep, eat, so having to stay at home with all the children and then the partners is also another form of is a change from the normal way things happen, and causing them stress, which also results in this cycle we are talking about, eating unhealthy foods, and the cycle continues. Now, in terms of how to manage it, if they say, or can be today, say, Bibi da me city dem or do say ya COVID-19 ya yetifie ya kofu bebre I stressed, and one of the things are obwa enye there ye beboa ye ho ehu nti na ye da medication ye church nkrofo there obia to mean a mental health condition, obia stress, depression, onye is no respecter of age or color or anybody at all can find yourself in that situation. Na as a crow in there say nipa crow, oh yeah, onya that condition ibia or affect obia or family nemo. Because you're worried, and nipa ko ye anxious, or anxiety, or depression, yeah, you will family na or affect him in one way or the other. Inti se bibi dam si anase jo unsi mpoa. So we talk about prevention and we talk about management. Unsi mpoa. Or de yi na ye kai de. Nye zibanzi, nye lifestyle. Or what they yes son not yet to prevent these in yamaya yakamwasemi. Inti honestly who they ya na kayen ana mo framba no mun kakai mo hu de mo ma yenya nyama ye na yemfam prevent anxiety, depression, all of these are preventable conditions in bi wo ho no ma into menya ho hwe but mo botuma ye hu bibi no or what they ye another apart from is buying a years in order deliberate, and we'll be talking about specific tips on what to eat and how to eat us before we end. But apart from that, so research actually there be deliberate physical activity. Who in there as a family and as a group, because when you do it, even alone, I are non the more family anymore. I want more from banana, or partner no. Na more sheda more call for walks. Self workers will allow COVID-19. It says what penny the works. Inti my I always say that let's not suffer. There are ways we can manage what we are going through. There are ways we can do to improve, the situation. It's yen try there. Yeah, work see for granted, but on health research trader obwa for mental health. It's yen shas is a yen dada yen shas in yen. Yeah, I think we should talk about what people can do, or what research shows, specific foods that people can focus on. And as Sister Agnes, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I'm just, no, you are the expert. I am here to support the viewers to listen, and then we go through it. We practice
Okay.
as well. I don't
Okay.
listen, but I listen. I also practice it.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So many research have been done on Mediterranean diets, basically. Yes, and I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's a diet that has to do with a lot of that has to be a lot of legumes and beans. There's a lot of cereals. There's a lot of nuts. There's a reduced meat and dairy food intake. We see a lot of unsaturated fatty acids, such as from olive oils, and we use sunflower oils. We've also seen this diet to include plenty of fruits, and vegetables, and include fish also in their diets. But Mediterranean diet is from around the Mediterranean Sea, France, Spain, Morocco. And funny thing is that this diet was originally thought to be a poor man's diet. Can you imagine that? A diet that has everything that you need.
Well,
so,
meat is normally seen as something for the rich people. So, if anything has less meat, then people deem that as poor man's food. So maybe that's why.
Exactly. That's a point to also. That's a point. And the thing is, this type of diet has been seen to reduce especially to reduce depression. There's a lot of studies that have told us how it has reduced depression, or how it has prevented depression one way or the other, making you feel happier, and a general mental well-being, improving general mental well-being and health. It even affects mood. I mean, imagine eating a lot of different things. That is, to me, I feel sometimes that makes me happy. Being able to pick something that, I've not eaten this before. Oh, this looks this color. Or why don't I just have it? That's another way to look at it. But research has shown this. Right. Dr. Raba, anything?
Yeah. Let me talk about the Mediterranean diet. Can you hear me? Yeah. So so what's the evidence? Iba is buying a yinzi, na prevent mental health, you be reduce stress and depression and yaman. We be the Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet, or yes, be close to the Mediterranean Sea, Morocco, France, is by what has you on offering the Mediterranean diet. What does it comprise of? Onani, one habanye buying bebre, so legumes, and more mind that won't meat bebre. What's the fish? Or no, what's the olives? No, dam yaman who is buying or habay. Into those times, first now, so
yeah, what Ghana to say contombre, going to try. Well, Sunday man, no,
they do a village, they do on crossing in Yanina yen and Nanum was because a honum coffuniska was in a pit, Damyaman. Into that means the bina yes dada, or the yes and coffer. Or the yes and coffer, that means bina and nanum worries, because nutrition on society in Yamana ye and dada in here yasisa here lifestyle near pede abrofo. Yeah, petty this is pizza and fried rice and man or my yeah. But in the bina na here na nam was na ibin more friend because here yam fan serious into ye by ye for ishoma and kona no bi na yes ye na nam to Mediterranean diet no on is way nyazin because home would am go for no way serious about who is by into am way nyazin yes a trazi or research yes a trunk for into ono na research actually there is a or two or reduce anxiety and depression na dam nyama no ono na nkofo friend the poor man's diet Ghana obi wo ho disease na ehu no be meat or is chicken baka da nyipa ni nyisika into na wo friend the poor man's diet but ono na wa kire there easily bebrea it comprises onye just here one is it
what I was trying to say is that even in Africa it's banana why na Benina won't need on what's a man. Now, the children will turn up to have the feet of the what do you call it of the chicken. Our mothers who eat the food will not even eat the food. They will pack every two to even need that protein at that age, and the children will be fighting over the head. I mean, the ones that we don't need is what they give it to us, and only the man will have everything. The mother at times will not even have even one side of chicken.
I know. Yeah. All these are determinants of dietary behaviors, or factors or affecting so culture and then social norms. These things are all social norms that affect what we eat or the way we eat our foods. There was something I wanted to say that has just escaped me. Yes, one key thing about the Mediterranean diet, even though I say it's something that we practice, I can hear myself echo. We practice back in Africa. One thing we don't do any variety, see, a key thing is having a variety of nyamano. We often just stick to one or two vegetables or one or two fruits. The Mediterranean diet has to do with a variety of stuff. So all your legumes into not just beans. Most of us tend to eat just one particular beans, the cowpea, is making sure you're having different types of greens and legumes and nuts and seeds, and fish and all that, and just cutting down on and in zinamni bebre. But my yezi dada no yen fe bin ka ho yen sisem because easy contomria ma contomria is about one or different from my what kind of garden eggs is one more in trouble and abibidam. So they be a can show in the day. We take healthy eating as a simple thing. People don't take it serious, but or your BB or there deliberate because yet evidence shows that 1 in 4 adults 2020 or mental health condition. 1 in 4. If I nipa 4 and yeah 4 are yet to hear, one of us might be suffering from something. 1 in 4 has some sort of a mental, BB. And now more from 1 in 10. So afraba 1 in 10. Imagine what the future is going to be. If I'm from a 10, nipa it was some sort of mental a BB or mental health problem be our hand. We have no control over. The ones we have control over no or what we are here and we are emphasizing on things. It's not just because we don't have anything to do. No, or what they be education, because or affected Sister Agnes, it affects all of us as a community. If it affects Ife, it affects all of us. And you can be stressed or affect ye na. Inti here, na de bia na ye ka ho asem no, here or they yesesa me ye deliberate attempt there. We are going to change our lifestyle and do better to prevent not just diabetes and obesity, but also to prevent these mental health conditions.
Yes, yes. I also wanted to add when something that we sorry.
Sister Agnes, we couldn't hear you. You were trying to say something.
Our gentleman Wi-Fi is not stable, so it's really giving him.
Yeah, he keeps going on and off.
We've not heard from him. Yeah, whoever is next should talk with.
Yeah, if he
right. So I was also going to mention something I didn't mention earlier is that there are a lot of micronutrient deficiencies. When I mean micronutrients, I'm talking about vitamins and minerals deficiencies that are associated with our mental health. So I'll give you an example. One that we all know or probably have heard of one way or the other is iron deficiency anemia, right? And the thing is, especially for the younger ones, we see where there is issues later on in life with memory. We see where there is issues later on in life with being able to learn or develop well, our brains being able to develop. And I also talk about folate. I mean, we folate, which is folic acid, which we tell our mothers when they are pregnant or when they want to get pregnant or when they are deciding or thinking about it, that they need to begin to take supplements of folic acid. The thing is with folic acid is that it can cause something we call spina bifida, right? And this basically has to do with the spinal cord and then being able to grow our spine, the children being able to grow the spine correctly, which also leads to the brain. Our brains need to be able to develop the right way. The spine and the brain are connected. So in a situation where this spina bifida comes into play. Situation where we don't have enough, or the mother has not been able to take enough of the folic acid that is needed. There will be issues with depression in the future. The greater risk, we've seen that greater risk of depression in the future. We've also seen situations where the children can't learn as fast. They can no longer, or they cannot connect the dots, or cannot I'm trying to look for a very easy word. They can't easily connect dots when it comes to thinking, right? So another instance is thiamine, right? Vitamin B1, and we've seen there to be I'm trying not to use words that are above the heads of our listeners, but
don't worry,
where there is
it. Don't worry, just go ahead.
Oh,
I'll try and
okay, Wernicke's encephalopathy, right? This is usually associated with confusion, right? Where we see there's loss of mental activity. I mean, they can't think well, they're confused, they're wondering, okay, not being able to put numbers together, not being able to interpret what is being said, right? And usually this vitamin B1 comes as a result of sometimes those who have undergone bariatric surgery, right? Those who are obese, who have had surgery. Some people who are chronically ill, that's where you see we see vitamin B1, a lack of vitamin B1 come into play. We also see where it's also common in people that have alcohol use disorder, excess alcohol intake, things like that. So and okay.
Yeah, let me explain this. You see, here, Koduna, explaining some further links between nutrition and mental health. Apart from Izibanzi in general, no, certain micronutrients. And the year last year explaining the issue nutrients, and will be a friend of macronutrients, and it will be a friend of micronutrients. Nutrients in our body ni own yani bebrino. Into iron deficiency anemia. Into say inzi is by or contain a lot of iron deficiency anemia. On day it's been shown there otum cause in yama bit today. Inka inka nyama bebrain. Why dream in develop ye? Say iron in yani bebrea. That's one of the things. Now the other thing here, and when them be say you need say yeah, my head yes you take folic acid, no, and folate. Say I'm funny yeah. Abufrana obowon obutimenya bibia wo fan affect what spinal cord. Our friend is spinal bifida. Or yeah, spinal cord no on form ye. On internet ye need say ya was yemfa folic acid no. Na say spinal cord no one form year. On the spinal cord no on link between waging and spinal cord no what here no. On either wire or connect wo body need to waging. It is say and folate ye. Na se ewa fraba or dam condition ye nibia wabu fraba no na dream on develop papa. Ibohu de or na oko school bohu na untu nsuazi ye. Sometimes when yes obi abon na dam nyama ni na ofinye nutrients na hiezi banzini ibi freedom nyama no. Another micronutrient in vitamin B1 ni deficiency. No no say iye kese dodo na se weye surgery ho a wo hu da weye surgery no wotumi nya dam deficiency ni bi anade innom nsa bebre ono so do research actually there's a link between ono and a vitamin B1 ni deficiency. Dam deficiency ni susu inya otumu affect wo brain development ono nbo hu de e wo hono ma intum wo charge abo hu ne papa nyama obi atase go na won tase papa inti here banzi na here nutrients no. There's a lot it has to do with your brain development. There is a lot. Not direct. It is not like when you have malaria where you say that in tomorrow in your malaria. When it comes to nutrition, no, or nyama or slowly on happen or I call it slow killers. Into you don't see it immediately. These are some of the things we have to take note of: your iron, your folic acid, or your folate levels. Vitamin B, because evidence there. something to do with mental health development. Yeah, brain development rather.
That's a question I want to read. The
Okay.
person can somebody who who has already been diagnosed with spinal bifida in her 20s take folic acid now?
Okay, so that question should actually be directed to a dietitian, right? Because that is a medical condition that a dietitian looks at, right? So do well to please go into the hospital and look for a dietitian to take you through the steps or what you need to do when it comes.
Is it a field of
Sorry?
Dr. TK? I was just asking Dr. Araba that a field like Dr. TK, or the person has to see a doctor.
No, so when the condition has occurred, first of all, you need to see your GP. So your GP will now refer you to your dietitian, So a lot of the things we talk about, it's more like on prevention. But once you have the condition, you speak to your GP, because conditions is a combination of edu and a diet. Then your GP would refer you to the dietitian, and then the dietitian can put a plan in place for you to see what you can do about it. What we're talking about is how to prevent it, from the hospital. That's why they asked us to take folic acid. So please speak to your GP, and then you'll be put in chat with the dietitian to take it up from there. Yeah?
Thank
you. No problem.
Is there any other question before I go on?
Yeah.
No, can go. If I see it, I'll read it.
Okay, good. And another thing, another vitamin that I would like to bring to our knowledge is vitamin B12, right? And it also is associated with depression and poor memory, fatigue. It's also associated with psychosis, right? So it's also very, very important. That's very important for especially vegans to have vitamin B12, because and if you're a vegan, there's a lot of talk about getting enough of vitamin B12, because most of the time it comes from what they can eat, which is our meats and all of that, dairy product, all of those. Then there's also niacin, which its deficiency causes pellagra with dementia. Also, that depends on how advanced your deficiency is. And obviously we know that, I don't know if I spoke about iodine before, where I haven't, where it impairs cognitive function, where thinking abilities, learning abilities, that's what we basically mean, memory. Because in children, we've seen that with time, a lack of iodine causes this cognitive impairment. So one thing I want us to take away from these that I have spoken about is the need for our vitamins and minerals, the need for our vegetables and our fruits. I mean, when we keep hammering on the fact that take enough of your fruits and vegetables, it's because we need to prevent these things. Apart from that, the thing is, vitamins and minerals also help in the metabolism it helps to break down, basically helps to use the energy that you get from your carbohydrates, your fats, your protein. So all of these would not be possible if you have these deficiencies. And that's why we see that all these vitamins and minerals are linked with our mental health in the long run. I was going to talk about some more, but I think we can go on with
yeah. So just still talking about the links between nutrition and mental health. Micronutrients kind and more examples. again, based on the scientific evidence there. Another vitamin, B12. Now, no. Say, why drink there? We vegetarian and vegan. And who won't meat be brain? Because no, you are not free. Them animal product sources no inti na wo advice ho de wo be fa either the for supplements and na ezibanya wa fortify was vitamin when ezibanya bi wo ha wo tro ho de was them vitamin ya ka ho inti say you be a inzi meat na inzi animal products or they taking note of vitamin B12 on share konakozi meat there be if you don't eat meat it's okay but other share the supplements no and new dietitian in casa non sure other sources of food about more than vitamin B12 no and another one your niacin vitamins no be micronutrients na iodine because that mean your man watch there it be or your link to dementia it be a link to brain development or cognitive development. Now, long and short in your day, damn vitamins, you able to it won't really help. They able to damn long list, but all the sources, no. The sources need be brain if you have fruits and vegetables, no. Another role of these vitamins, say in new ways, madam, maybe otumo help with metabolic breakdown of all carbohydrates now proteins, no. Nina, intina ya de bia wo hammer day, yenzi more fruits and vegetables, no. Se onye hiezi bai mu a yarba odi mahie no odoso inhu ne hu nsunsu adu se esi a echire no inabohu inhu ebia on affect I will say yebesi a even in benyufu ebia on affect but bohu de wako affect wo ba ehu ne hu nsunsu adu no dos bebre ntina de bia ye emphasize de Uma yenzi fruits and vegetables so nyama oye wo hie body no mu no onye asem kakraba. Yeah, I think that's about it. I've just summarized everything. That these are some of the reasons why we always hammer on the fruits and vegetables because of all these rules, which we keep explaining to people. We keep explaining to people on this show. I think we should be wrapping up now. We've done an hour.
Yes.
Psychosis is a symptom of bipolar disorder. I'm confused.
Sorry?
I think he's talking two different things here. It says, the person says, I thought psychosis is a symptom of bipolar disorder. I'm confused. I'm just reading the exact word.
Yeah. Did you hear that question?
Yeah, I think I got. He's saying psychosis is symptom.
Two different things here because he's mentioned psychosis and then he's mentioned bipolar. But he says he thinks psychosis is a symptom of bipolar.
Right. So like we've said, it is a symptom of bipolar, but also that's the thing with that's the thing with nutrition. That's the thing with our body. Everything is linked, right? And from research we've seen, right, there when you are deficient in vitamin B12, there is also a likelihood, right, especially when it depends on how far deficient you are or how much deficient you are, right, it leads to that mental disorder, psychosis, and even mania. So we shouldn't limit things in our bodies to one particular thing, or the things that happen in our body, in our system, to one particular thing, right? And we know that it has to do with how you think, what you feel, psychosis, right? So like we've said, I don't know if I should go further into this, but like we've said, I'll wrap it up there. Like we've said,
I've done a mental health before. I think about 2 years ago, where a mental health came and she taught us about the difference by what you call bipolar, all those type of the mental illness, depression, postnatal depression. We went through all those who are manic. She went through all those things. So it's a very broad topic. It's a very broad topic. So I think our brother, I will see, and if I can reach to our nurse, who is a mental health specialist, that can really come in. break it, I will announce it if I have the chance to meet somebody to break it, because it's a if we are going to mix it with the nutrition, it's I don't know, but it's a broad topic. To get it, it's a broad topic, not just so our brother will bear with us and we'll work around it and see. We find a nurse who is a mental health nurse to come and break it so that we know the difference. Because if we live with somebody even with the postnatal depression, we don't even see.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think we should, yeah, let's just give some final tips on what we can do, and then we've done an hour.
Right. So just a quick roundup of all that we've said. The fact is that everybody, one way or the other, knows someone who has gone through one mental disorder or the other, right? Maybe in a phase of their life, or because of something that's happened, or because of COVID right now. I know people who are in that state because of what has happened, because of just living alone. And the funny thing is, whether or not COVID came, from research we've seen that depression is on it keeps rising. In years to come, it's going to keep rising. And well, we've also seen, like I've said, that some high fat diets, high sugar diets are linked with increased depression, with increase in depression. So we need to be proactive, not just with going to therapies, not just changing our social environment, but also with what we are eating. As we've seen that it has a good effect. It has a lot to do with nutrition too.
Right. Okay. So my final words, I've just stolen this phrase from my mentor. I love it so much. And that's going to be my mantra now with all my nutrition talks. That genes load the guns, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. This applies to everything. Okay, so even in mental health, yes, there's so many determinants. Your genes could be one of them, social change, social exclusion, and all that are part of the determinants of mental health. However, our lifestyle will pull the trigger. So let's work on our lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Dr. Well done, Ifu. And no, we all done so well. I don't want to even, I'm short of words. We've done well. You've really, really explained so much. I think you've broken it down the way we can, to our level that we can get it. And us changing it into our language has also helped us to be able to get it well and well. That's what I can say, because usually at times, because majority of our viewers are Ghanaians, when we break it down into our language, the understanding gets it well. We can really get it well. So thank you so much for today, and it's been a pleasure meeting you. And Dr. Abat, God bless you for your hard work. It's been a pleasure that I know it will go far, that people will benefit from it. And thank you all viewers. Mr. Martin Luther King said, thanks, dear sisters and brother, for your education.
Thank you.
That one I don't thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure, and your time.
Azito Radio live. I will tune in. I'm more than Ghana. www.azitoradio.co.uk. Azito Radio. We keep you alive.
So
All right.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.